Hey guys, how's it going? Just picked up this Singer 201-2. It was in a cabinet in pretty nice condition. I like the ones that come in a cabinet because they're usually good. This one unfortunately had a little accident where the junction box here was basically destroyed. Somebody might have had something in the way when they tipped it back into the camera or into the cabinet and broke this, but fortunately I have an extra one on hand off of another machine that's missing a few other parts, so I'll have to take this apart and replace this. And on the back side, the wires were no good. Somebody had electrical tape on here, and you can see it's kind of dirty on the back side, but this is typically what you'll see when it's in a cabinet because this is tipped down, this is facing up, and who knows how long this was sitting not being used. So I haven't even tried to fire it up yet, but we'll get it going and get it looking good again. I can tell by the decals and the paint on the bed of the machine here, this one's going to look really good when it gets cleaned up and all done. I'm just going to go ahead and start taking a few parts off. Might as well start back here since this is just a thumb screw. It's just a cover plate to get into the back here. Set that off to the side. I'll turn this around. Another thumb screw. I just keep these together because the thumb screws are different diameters. Now you can see just how dirty it is inside of here. Put a little extra light on that. But everything's moving freely, so looking good. Go ahead and turn it a little bit like this. Go ahead and depress this dial, push it back. You can just unscrew this thumb screw and then take the pieces off. I have a video showing how this all gets cleaned and goes back together, so no worries. The spring and this hole, this is all separate pieces, but you can pull it all out as one. And I'm just going to go ahead and let's see how tight they sometimes those little screws are super tight. But as I take these pieces off, I'm just setting them off to the side and keeping everything in little organized groups. Even though I know just about where every piece goes on this machine, if I take it off, it's just easier if everything's grouped together. This is you screw this in, it depresses this spring, which puts pressure on the foot to hold the fabric down. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get that old needle out of there before I end up poking myself with it. Carefully take that off, turn it off. I just turn that to the side as I bring it out so I don't bend this. There's a spring, some spring steel on the bottom. You don't want to break that. I'm kind of just another thumb screw here just to take the foot off. Just keep working away here. I wouldn't have to. I think I'll leave that for a few minutes just so it holds that up out of the way. Leave this down just so it holds this out of my way to get this plate off. Really long screwdriver. You can't even see the handle. Works good to get these screws out. And it's easier to take these out if you take this upper tension assembly off. Gives you just a little more room. The back one, pretty easy to get at. And then this one just happens to have the graduated plate with the arrow on it. And what should we take off next? Alright, now that I have that out of the way, we can unscrew this. this thumb screw that puts pressure on the presser foot. If you want to take this spring out to clean inside of there, just be really careful when you take that out. Set that off to the side. Yours might have a flat washer sitting on top. This one, it was missing. So that'll be another part I'll take off of the other donor machine when I go to put this back together. And let's move on over here. Alright, I'm going to move over to this side. And there is a long screw. This is broken, so it's a little bit loose. There's one long screw that goes in there. Would look like that. I'll set that off to the side with the broken piece. Then here, you'll have to keep track of where your wires go if you're doing this. I did make another video that shows where those go, if you want to check my other videos. And then there's another screw inside of here. It's kind of a short metallic screw that holds this on. I'll take these little Bakelite thumb screws off and you can get these wires out of the way. Obviously, when you do yours, it'll look different because yours won't be broken. Let's show that old wire can go straight in the trash bin. Okay, and then you're gonna see, all right, there's a black plastic knob on this switch. It just unscrews. It goes into the threads there. That unscrews like that. Might need a pliers to get at this. There's a nut right behind that. You can use a small crescent wrench. If that's too tight, a small crescent wrench would work better on that. Okay, I'm just going to use a good quality pliers to get in here so I don't scratch things up. It's got a nice flat front to it. And you can unscrew this locking nut. Somebody must have been using this even with it broken before it fell totally apart, because I can feel the adhesive from the black tape they had on there. Either that or they tried to just patch it back together before I came to buy the machine from them. And you'll have to push this switch back through this plate. You might have to switch it one way or the other. Be careful, because this other wire right here going into the machine, you don't want to mess that up. And then there's one screw, and you can get the switch off like that. And then I generally will put that screw right back into the switch. That way I'm not going to lose it. Okay, now we can set that out of the way. There's the broken piece. This would be a good time. You can inspect the wires going to your motor and see if they seem like they're in good condition. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, what I do to tell if these are in good condition is that I'll just take it and kind of aggressively fold it like that. And if I can hear a cracking noise coming off of that wire, I know that it's not any good anymore. Believe it or not, this is not making that noise, so maybe okay, I'll look at it a little bit closer once I get this off, the motor off. You have a screw right here. You just back this out enough to get it past. There's a few little tabs in there. I'll show you here. You back that screw off just enough to get past these little knobs on this washer, and you can just drop that out. Get that out of the way. Now this hand wheel should pull off. I have to wiggle it a little bit. Hasn't been off for a while, or oiled for a while. Let me see here. Just going to use the butt end of a wooden hammer. Tap on it lightly. Yeah, it's pretty dry. It'll need to be cleaned and oiled, and then that just pulls off. You can see the old grease inside of the worm gear in there. That'll have to be cleaned up. Now we get to the point where people have problems. There are, or sometimes you have a problem. There are 2 flat-headed screws inside this casting, and that's what holds the motor on there. So let's see how stubborn they're going to be on this one. This is where a big flat screwdriver with a square shank comes in handy, because now I can, when I go to take those out, I can press the screwdriver against the screws, get it in there. This one fits, purposely bought this screwdriver, it fits these screws perfectly, and I can put my little crescent wrench on the shank and then just see how stubborn they are going to be, and they are tight, but that one wasn't too bad. Move to the other side, you'll see the other one, same thing. Tighten my, oh, no problem. That one wasn't tight at all. Well, not as tight as they usually are. Okay, and there's the screw that holds that in. I'm going to set that over by the hand wheel and get the other one out. And that's all that holds the motor to the machine. And then I can just wiggle this a little bit and pull it right off. Oops, get it in the shot here. These down here, there's wicks in here. These are grease ports that let grease wick up to the shaft of the motor. And then these other 2 black screws here, you want to be really careful with those. These are where your brushes go for your motor. So I'm going to set that aside. And might as well turn the machine. And we'll get these mounting brackets that, now that I've got everything off the bottom, this will be easy. I can just tip it up like this. You can't see the top one, but I'm not going to move the camera again. They're both the same. There's a screw in the bottom. Just loosen this screw, and you can just pull these right out. I'm going to run the screw back up in there, that way I don't lose it. There's the top one. Okay, let's take a look at the machine now. Okay, I'm going to back this up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, this gives you a pretty good idea of everything that I will take off of these machines. I think this is about as far as I will go. I will take out the bobbin case. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I need 1 small screwdriver. I'm going to turn this until I can see the retaining clip is on this side. It's facing towards the camera. And then I will just move that to the outside. Just This little spring in there I need to move to the outside on both sides. I don't really need to show that because there's another person, or I might have another video that shows taking this out and putting it back in. The reason I take this out is I want to be able to clean this bobbin case and clean down inside here. This needs to be a wire brushed with a brass brush right in here. Oh my gosh. Just to get this surface rust off. The rest of it you probably want to leave alone because you'll never get a polish as nice as the factory polish here on the bottom. And the thread has to be able to go around this with every stitch. So we'll set these off to the side. Okay, that's out of there. And let's see. Let's take a look at the bottom here. I'm going to show you, this is a gear drive machine. A gear up on top comes down through this area and runs the shaft, and there's another gear here. I usually take these cover plates off so I can clean and grease those. So let's see how this... I don't know if in the past anyone's taken those off. They're usually pretty darn tight. Okay, and now you can see the gear mechanism that runs the... Good idea to just drop those screws right into there. Right into this cover. Okay, let me turn the machine here. Now you can see the gear set that drives this shaft that's coming down from the top. This should be cleaned up again with a wire brush. Clean it up, oil it up, maybe put the tiniest dab of tri-flow grease on there. You don't want to slow the machine down by putting a bunch of heavy grease on there, just a tiny little bit, and then usually just oil. So I'm going to go ahead and get that front cover off next. This is your... Since we've got this showing, there's a thumb screw right here. You can loosen this and then drop the feed dogs. That way this machine will do free motion sewing. And this has a few different attachment points. Let me see here. There's 2 screws that hold this bottom cup on, and then there's 2 more with another metal piece that hold it to the machine. And usually I take the whole thing completely apart, but let's see. Okay. Alright, I have to. Now I know why I take it apart, because I have to take it apart to get it off. And that Superman must have put that one on. I wanted to make sure it didn't fall off. Alright, these little screws are coming out. I've got to... Probably not going to be able to see this on camera, because I have to hang the machine over the edge of my workbench to get at this screw coming up in the bottom. Okay, and this is why you have to take it completely apart, because the shaft runs through that gap right there. So again, I'll just put all the screws in the bottom of that for safekeeping. Okay, turn it again. Okay, now we can see everything. We see our gears over here that are turning the shaft for your bobbin case, and the hook. So the hook goes round and around. Every other turn it'll pick up the needle thread. We've got this over here, and here we can see our wires for the light going up through here, up to the light. Okay, so that's basically everything I'm going to take off of the machine, because now I can get at everything under here, get all this cleaned up, look it all over, do everything I need to do on the top, and with all these components off, I can go ahead and get this all polished up. This piece does pull off. Let's see here. Okay, this machine just happens to have this chrome plated flat piece here. It does come off. This one's being a little stubborn. There's a little burr on this pin here that I'll have to deburr before I can take that off. I'll have to get a jeweler's file and just file that a little bit, and then that'll come off. I think that's about it. You can take off the light if you want to, but if you're not comfortable with that, just leave it on. There's the screw right back here that holds it in. The light bulb fixture itself, that was a little loose. I just tightened that up. That was a little bit loose. I don't want to lose that. And that's as far as we go until we clean everything up. You could take this cover plate off here too if you wanted to. I don't see any need to do that. Well, I did end up taking a few more pieces off. I took this shaft out. I took the light fixture off. These are things that most people probably won't want to do, but if you do want to keep going like I did, it's just a matter of taking out a few screws to take these pieces off. And I also took off this and the spool pin. What I initially showed taking off is probably what most people would be comfortable doing. And now you can see this. This doesn't look that good. It had the tape and whatnot on there, so I'm going to do a few minutes worth of work here and see what we can accomplish before I put too much time into it. I just want to see what we can end up doing back here. This is what I have. Just using a damp cloth and a paper towel to dry it. There's a lot of residue here from that tape they put on. I've got the tape polished off of here. Took about 4 tries, and then I hit that with my car polish, and hopefully you can see that. I still have to go around the other side, but I've got this back to the point where I'm happy with it. So I guess that'll be it for this video. And I'll have to basically do what I did on this area, do the whole painted surface of the machine to get it up to this condition. Alright, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. See ya.